Welcome to my new flat that looks so beautiful now that I have just moved in and everything is chaos. Also, I don't know why I'm trying to film this after lunch. I'm in my after lunch slump, which is why I have this. This is not product placement. I just thought it would pick me up. Anyway, this video is really long overdue and I kind of wanted to wait until the background was nicer or I'd done my makeup, but I feel like that could be 2, 3, 4 weeks in the future and it's already like 6 to 12 months overdue. So this is a video, pure facts, pure information and hopefully value about my experience with perioral dermatitis, which is so annoying. So if you have it, I presume you have it because you're watching this. Hopefully I can share with you all the things that worked for me and how to systematically work through your routine, your potential triggers, things that might be making it worse or making it stick around to hopefully resolve it for you. And full disclaimer, as always, I'm not a doctor, this isn't medical advice. It's just my personal experience. I've seen a dermatologist for it, I've taken their advice, I've tried lots of different medications. I've garnered as much information as I can from them about what we know about it, which unfortunately we don't know that much about it. I've taken everything that I've learned over the last 2 or 3 years of having it to now managing it and knowing it inside and out to hopefully make a useful video for you. Starting with a brief description of what it is, just to make sure that you're in the right place. So peri just means, obviously you can put peri in front of lots of different words like perioral, peri-orbital, peri-menopause. It just means around, in and or around. So perioral dermatitis is just dermatitis around the mouth, just like periocular dermatitis is around the eyes. You can have them both together, you can just have one. Having both is obviously more fun, but by far the most common placement is around the mouth, on the chin, and like surrounding the nose. Mine, for example, is mostly up here. Basically never get it on the chin except for very rare occasions. Around the mustache area for me, and then sometimes when it's really angry it kind of like radiates outwards and I might get some like here. So radiating out from around the mouth. It's like a rash, little red bumps, irritation, stinging, tingling. I think you get the picture. It's really uncomfortable and it's a rash around your mouth that is quite stubborn. If you're not sure, you definitely should see a GP at least. Most GPs are familiar with perioral dermatitis because it's so common, especially in women. By the way, that drawer just won't shut. Never buy these drawers. I think they're called Alex from IKEA. Biggest waste of money of my life. They just all break within months. Moving on to the triggers, I'm just going to run through them because most of the time, if you're this far into the perioral dermatitis wormhole, you already know the triggers and you've eliminated them and you're like, why is it not going away? So just in case there's people who haven't got that far yet, I'm just going to list them off quickly. Exfoliating acids or overuse of exfoliating acids can be a massive trigger for perioral dermatitis. Sometimes it's not the acid, sometimes it's just the product. Like for example, you might have a acid that's in a formula. So the acid, the active ingredient is within the formula and it's actually not the acid that's causing your perioral dermatitis, it's the formula, the base formula. You'll never know though, that's the beauty of perioral dermatitis. So it can be acids, exfoliants, harsh products, sometimes not even harsh products, just like fragrance products. It could be a moisturizer, but it literally just has fragrance in it, or it could be basically any skincare product, but it's more likely to be acids, retinols, exfoliants, harsh products. Another massive cause of perioral dermatitis is stress. Basically all skin conditions usually can be caused by stress. Hormonal fluctuations, sometimes very occlusive products, so sometimes products that are just too heavy for your skin. If you're using a really thick moisturizer, sometimes that can be the case. Toothpaste can cause it even if you're not getting it onto the outside of your skin, because obviously the skin here is the same skin as the skin inside the mouth. So I've found with certain toothpaste that will give me an issue even though it's obviously not going anywhere near my outside skin. That's the technical name. And then lastly, topical steroids. It's a real shame that topical steroids are handed out so easily and GPs often encourage you to use them on the face. I know that some GPs watch me, so I don't mean to shit on GPs. I know GPs are having a really hard time right now, but it is a shame that topical steroids are given out so just very easily. A lot like birth control. Like birth control's great, that has a place. Topical steroids have a place, but they're both just given out too easily, I guess. But topical steroids can really help to bring down inflammation. The problem is sometimes you have a rebound, so when you stop using it, your skin's natural defenses suddenly come alive again and they do too much. So that's another really common cause of perioral dermatitis. Moving on to what caused mine, I'm going to tell you exactly what caused mine, the timeline of it, the rough timeline of what I can remember, and then exactly how I fixed it. And at the end, which I would say is actually the most valuable or one of the most valuable parts of this video, I'm going to talk about what I have learned about perioral dermatitis, not just in theory but in practice, that I think will help you understand the condition better than reading about it online. So don't skip that part. If I've got anything to say, it's don't skip that part. This drink, by the way, is just so tasty. So for me, the first flare-up that I got was a couple of months after I started using tretinoin, which made me wonder if it was tretinoin. However, I then always come back to this one time after going to the dental hygienist for the first time. So I was at the dental hygienist and I had I don't know the names of their roles, but the dentist and I guess the dental nurse. One of them was doing the main job, the other one was holding this like plastic suction tube to suck saliva out, I guess, keep it dry. And if you can imagine, this tube was going into my mouth from here, but the tube was going into my mouth and coming out a little bit, and it was basically covered in saliva. Sorry, it's a bit gross. And she was, without realizing it, she was rubbing it on my cheek, like sort of back and forth with saliva on it. And whatever like chemicals they were using in my mouth to clean it was just getting like gradually rubbed across my cheek. Obviously I was sitting there like this and I was just thinking, oh, please make it stop. Like, if you know me, or even if you're just a person with skin, like nobody likes having that happen. And then the next day I woke up with red perioral dermatitis, like here. I actually don't think it was on this side, but it was very pronounced. It was very neat round shape here. That was the first time that I had perioral dermatitis, and I think that was probably the straw that broke the camel's back, because what I did in that moment was be like, okay, my skin's irritated, I'm gonna not use my tretinoin. I think I probably had like 3 or 4 days off until the rash went away, and I might have even given it like 2 or 3 days buffer time. But then every time I'd start using my tretinoin again, even if I went in gently, it would just come back. And when it's kept coming back and I couldn't get back to a place of homeostasis is when I started to get really annoyed and really upset. And I think that went on for maybe 3 or 4 months until I posted a video of myself crying, which I thought I'd never do on the internet. But if you're here, like, you know how frustrating perioral dermatitis is, or basically any skin condition is just so frustrating because it's so unnecessary. The skin, it just doesn't need to do this, doesn't need to have these weird flare-ups. I just find it so unnecessary. Like, I love skin, but I also hate it for all its unnecessary issues. But I basically posted this video, and obviously I've worked with Dr. Sam, the brand, before. I've met Dr. Sam, the dermatologist, before, and she saw my video and she messaged me because she had my number, and she was just like, come in and see me and we'll sort this out. And I was so grateful for that, because one thing about Dr. Sam is she's a very caring person, and I just really appreciated that because I just didn't know what to do. And I think part of getting treatment for any condition you have is just having someone to listen to you and take your concerns seriously. And I felt like I couldn't have that with my GP. I don't know why I didn't think of going to a dermatologist myself, but maybe I just hadn't been yet and I was going to go, I can't remember. But I went to see Dr. Sam. She said to me, take all your actives out and also take your sunscreen out. Whenever I share that information online, I know that people are going to come for me because obviously sunscreen is super important. But the problem with perioral dermatitis is, and I'll touch on this more in the next part, the problem with perioral dermatitis is it's literally just your skin freaking out. They don't really know that much about it. It's a barrier dysfunction condition. Your skin barrier is not functioning as it should. Your skin's immune system is on high alert for no reason. Even if you take out the reason, it's dysfunctioning, like it's spiraling. There's not really any rhyme or reason to it. So when you look at something like sunscreen, which has sunscreen filters in it, even if the base of the sunscreen is really gentle, sunscreen filters are probably never going to be that gentle. They have to do an important job. So if you're in a dire situation, sometimes you do need to stop wearing sunscreen. If you think about it, we all used to wear no sunscreen as like 10-year-olds, if you're watching this, so hopefully you're not 10. Nothing bad is going to happen if you go like 30 days without wearing sunscreen, and sometimes you do have to make cuts. You do have to do things you want to do to get a result you want to get. So along with taking out my retinoid and sunscreen, she said keep your cleanser, your moisturizer, your hydrating serum. If she had told me to do zero therapy, which is where you use nothing on your skin, I don't know if I could have done it. Like, I'm willing to make sacrifices and not use my retinoid. I don't think I'm willing to not wash my face or use moisturizer for like a week. I don't think that's something I could do, but I would have had to consider it had it got really bad. Then she gave me a course of antibiotics. I can't remember exactly which ones they were, but I want to say tetracycline. But after about 10 days, I started getting bumpy forehead texture, which is classic because obviously antibiotics change your microbiome because they're killing off some bacteria. So it's actually really common for people to take antibiotics and get some kind of yeast fungal related issue. Like, for example, thrush. You can also get fungal acne on your forehead. I sent her photos of this and I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to continue. And she was like, just stop taking them, like, it's fine. So I never completed the course, and I'm not sure. I feel like some people get lucky and antibiotics work for them and it never comes back. But is it the antibiotics that helped, or was it the fact that they removed, you know, the product that was offending them and it would have gone away without the antibiotics? I'm not sure. But for a lot of people, antibiotics don't work. But I do think it is probably worth trying them because you might get lucky. And with perioral dermatitis, it is as deep as getting lucky because a lot of it is just trying things that should work. Find the one that does for you. Unfortunately, there's no like fail-proof protocol that works for everyone. You just kind of have to like do the best practice and make tweaks according to what your body is saying. She also gave me azelaic acid to add in. Don't have it with me because I'm still not living in this flat. But you've seen me use it. It's Finacea gel, 15%. I strongly recommend azelaic acid for people with perioral dermatitis. And if you have perioral dermatitis, I would probably get a prescription one just to play it safe. I mean, it's not to say that non-prescription ones won't work for perioral dermatitis, but I would just do it to play it safe and not waste time and money. I think I probably used the azelaic acid and took the sunscreen and the retinoid out for about 2 months. Maybe like a month and a half to 2 months. And I do think one of the reasons people's perioral dermatitis can keep coming back is because they don't give themselves a long enough window of time to be without the perioral dermatitis. Because if you're just waiting for it to go until you add those things back in, like I know you're eager because I've been there, I know that feeling, but I really think you should have at least like 3 or 4 weeks of no issues before you start to consider adding stuff back in. I think that was all happening in June for me, and then I think around the end of August, September time is when I started using a retinoid again. But this time she was like, don't use tretinoin, use adapalene, Differin, same thing. And that's what I still use today because I really like it. And she recommended this because it's less irritating than tretinoin because it binds to less receptors. I did have a slight purge, but I think that was coming for me anyway because different retinoids do tend to, I feel in my experience, it's almost like because they're binding to different receptors, they're doing slightly different things in the skin and that gives you like slightly different results. So I always feel like your retinaldehyde that you're using now that you've used for 9 to 12 months has gotten out all of the impurities and potential blemishes that one could get out. But if you switch to adapalene, even though in theory your skin is very decongested from the retinoid, a new retinoid is going to reveal just a few more. So I'll be putting some photos of my purge in around this clip. And I would say overall, since I did that, I have had flare-ups. But if it were to be plotted on a graph, and I don't know which way around this is going to be, I think it's going to be this way. This was in September a couple of years ago when I just reintroduced the retinoid and I was waiting to see if I was going to be able to tolerate it because I was really hoping that I was, because if I wasn't, I didn't know what I was going to do because my life is a retinoid. I don't care about any other products. Over time, I just got less and less and less issues. It didn't mean that after that point I had no issues ever again. I still have perioral dermatitis. I don't believe it ever fully goes, but to look at me, you have no idea. I have no rash, I have no pimples. Like the flare-ups that I get are minor compared to what I was having before. I haven't had anything like that since that September. It's just gradually gotten better over time. And 2 other things that I forgot to mention. At the time of the flare-up, I was using a fragranced sunscreen. It was the Sultan Boots one, it's now discontinued. I had to cut that out as well and it was devastating, but it did also get discontinued, so like at least there's that. And I also cut out a lip gloss that I was using on my lips before bed. It sounds weird to use a lip gloss before bed, but it was the Rhode Peptide one in the salted caramel flavour, and damn, it works so well. Like I loved wearing it on my lips before bed and my lips would just be so hydrated and plump the next day for the whole of the next day. But fragrance lip balms, fragrance products in general, are just a big fat no for perioral dermatitis, and honestly I don't feel like you should ever go back to them. If you want a flare-up free life, I think you need to get rid of all fragrance in your products. I know that a lot of people are like, well, I don't have a fragrance allergy, but just don't think it's the point. Like if you've got dermatitis, I just don't see any justification for using fragrance and essential oils in your skincare products. Like they are known irritants that you're rubbing into your face on a daily basis. Like how can that ever have a good outcome, especially if you now have dermatitis, which you probably will have to manage forever. I think I'll probably have to manage this forever, but I do think it will get easier and easier and easier as time goes on. So now on to the things I've learned section. I think this will be the most helpful section because the main thing that I'm going to say, I'm just going to get into it, is I think people are always looking for products to put on their perioral dermatitis to soothe it, to make it go away. And the biggest thing that I've learned is it doesn't want you to do that, and it will usually always make it worse because it is irritated, but it's not irritation that needs to be soothed. It's your skin saying, I don't like something that you're doing to me, please take it away. So perioral dermatitis, if anything, is about removing stuff. It's about having less things being thrown at your face. Even if you have good intentions about what that product is for, it doesn't want a cream to be put on top of it. It wants everything to go away. And this is why something called zero therapy exists, which is basically a protocol where you do nothing. Zero therapy is a common perioral dermatitis protocol where you remove everything from your routine because something is in there that it doesn't like and you need to figure out what it is. And sometimes the thing that it doesn't like is more than one thing and actually doesn't have rhyme or reason. So removing all of the stimulus is one of the best ways to get your skin to reset back to just like a normal level. Another really important tip that is annoying to hear, I've kind of talked about already, but is just so true, is that time is just such a big factor. Like what I said before, if you plot all of my flare-ups on a graph, the curve is just going like this, and one of the reasons is because time is passing. A lot of my friends have had perioral dermatitis, and one of them got married recently. I went to her wedding in July, and she got perioral dermatitis I think like a year ago, and she was freaking out. She was like, I can't have this at my wedding, like when I wear makeup it comes, I can't wear skincare, I can't wear sunscreen, like what am I supposed to do if I'm like this at my wedding? And I just said to her, I was like, I promise you that you won't have this in a year's time. You will have forgotten about it in a year's time. And I think it's almost like a rite of passage, because my mum always used to say this. My mum is a nurse and she specialises in like women's health and like bladders and vaginas. And there was a phase in my life where I kept getting UTIs, and my mum was like, I don't know what it is, but women in your age group, which I think at the time I was like 18 or something, she was like, they just all get UTIs now. Don't know why. Maybe she did have a reason why, but I don't remember what that is. But I think perioral dermatitis does come for most women in their 20s and 30s. And for most people, I know there are some edge cases, but for most people, give it like 6 to 12 months and it usually is a lot better. Assuming that you try and heal it by removing irritants, fragrance, essential oils, and not overloading your skin, and actually listening to it instead of just like powering through. Another major thing I've learned is that toothpaste has fragrance in it. It's just not called fragrance, it's called aroma. And it's essential oils, usually things like peppermint, that give it obviously the pepperminty taste. And I found I get a lot less redness around my mouth, because for a while I was dealing with that. But I find that this brand called TP, because we don't want to have fluoride-free toothpaste, because we need fluoride to prevent cavities, very important, but we can do without fragrance. So I use this brand called TP, I get it on Amazon. I mean, it's not my favourite, but I do think it makes a big difference, and I get a lot less flare-ups and a lot less tingliness by using it. So I recommend that, and I'll put it in the description box below. Sometimes when I film these, I like start off really well and then I just turn into this like weird, I think it's just talking so much, and I'm knowing that someone's going to edit this afterwards, and you just get a bit like funny on camera. But yeah, back to the subject matter. Definitely don't want SLS in your toothpaste, you've probably read that. I don't think you should get rid of fluoride because it's really important. Like, I stopped using fluoride for like 2 weeks and my teeth literally went 3 shades darker. It was nasty. I cried. My teeth went brown. But switching to a toothpaste without aroma, good tip, I think, for just taking sensitivity down. Avoid new lip products, or stick to what you know, and definitely don't use fragrance lip products. And to be honest, a lot of unfragranced lip products are also a problem for me. It's really annoying. That part of it has never really gone away for me. I have to be quite careful about lip products that I use, or I have to use lip products knowing that I'm going to have a bit of irritation for the next couple of days because I've gone to a wedding and I want to wear like a lip gloss or something. But lip products are a major issue, and what I found was, even if you look at the ingredients list and it's just like lanolin, beeswax, paraffin, whatever, they can still set it off. So I don't really know what the magic answer is, but I do have a product that works for me, and I'm going to get into some products that I recommend in the last part of the video. But I do have a lip balm, and it's $1.99 and it's amazing. So many hand gestures. I just want to touch on one note about azelaic acid. So I feel like azelaic acid works in quite mysterious ways. I mean, we know exactly how it works, but it has an air of mystery about it, which for me is, when I first got it, I thought that I was supposed to like apply it here, because you would think that, right? Like, I apply it to the rash. But actually, I just apply it like everywhere else. I don't apply it on my forehead because it breaks me out and my forehead doesn't need it. But I apply it everywhere else, and I do brush on these parts, but I'm not putting it like all up in here. Because if I did, that would make it angrier. At least in the past it would. Maybe not now. Maybe I should try it again. But I think the way azelaic acid works with perioral dermatitis is not by applying it to the affected area. It's by applying it to such a large, But if you put stuff like here, it is spreading on like a minute level afterwards. And the way that it's been described to me when I was speaking to dermatologists about it is, it's just taming your immune response, it's anti-inflammatory, it's telling your skin like calm down a bit. And that message, I believe, I mean, this is not scientific what I'm saying right now, this is what I think. Basically, your skin gets the memo. It's anti-inflammatory, so it brings the inflammation down. Even if you didn't put it right on the inflammation, your skin is getting the overall message. Does that make sense? Obviously, never quote me on that. So out of all of that, I would say the essential products are a lip balm that you can rely on and cutting out basically all other lip products in the short term. Like, I wouldn't keep on using lip glosses and lipstick. I would just have one lip balm that you use to keep your lips hydrated. You can use lip pencil. I find that I had no issues with that. But the Avene lip balm is $1.99. I think it's amazing and it's so good. Doesn't cause issues for my PD. Obviously, it might cause issues for yours, I don't know. Especially if you're in a much earlier stage of healing than me, that can make a difference. I can tolerate stuff now that I couldn't used to back then, even though I still have PD. But just having one lip balm that you can rely on, I think is good. So maybe test a few. What I did actually is I bought like 3 or 4 off Amazon. They were all like £2 each, and I just cycled through them until I found one that didn't flare me and I liked. Azelaic acid also a must. I plan to use it forever because you can use it in pregnancy. I'm not pregnant, but if and when I am, I know that I won't have to stop it. It's great for hyperpigmentation. I believe if I start using it, well, I have started using it now and I keep using it well into the future, things like melasma will be less likely to come for me. That's what I hope. But there's just no reason to not use azelaic acid. Like, it's a win for everyone, I feel. And if you don't like the one that you've used, I would encourage you to try a different one. But especially with PD, I think azelaic acid in your routine to just keep a lid on future flare-ups, even after you've gotten rid of it for the most part. I think to just manage your skin now that you've had a dermatitis flare-up, I think it's a good idea. And the last point is just reiterating, I am so sorry if you like fragrance skincare, but if you have perioral dermatitis, skincare with fragrance added or natural, so essential oils would be natural fragrance, I just think it's so important to just get rid of them. And I would also argue, and I'm not trying to blame you, because I was using a fragrance sunscreen when this happened as well. I'm not trying to blame you. I know people on a monthly basis who message me, people that I would like work with from 3 years ago, who always maintain they had no issue with fragrance, and then bam, PD. I just don't think there's any point using it, and I think especially now, if you do have PD, that's it. You've kind of got it now, so I feel like you should respect the skin and not rub irritants into it on a daily basis. I know it's a controversial point, but it's just truly how I feel, and when I make content, I do make it with people who's watching best interests at heart, and I would be lying if I said that wasn't really important. So I hope this was helpful. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover. Obviously leave me questions down below if you've got any, and also let me know what you want to see from me next, because now that I have this flat, I want to film so many more YouTube videos, because the old flat was just so hard to film in, but I feel a lot less restricted here and I'm really in the mood to make loads more videos. Good day.